Happy Tuesday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card we are starting our day off with today. We love to see this card today. We are starting it off with the Chariot. This is going to speak like a lot of positivity, a lot of energy as it relates to plans, as it relates to projects, as it relates to opportunities. In partnership right now, this is a lot of the work that we've been seeing that the partnerships have been trying to manifest at this time. This is potentially even a lot of those conversations that we saw effectively rising up in partnership yesterday related to having to observe the obligations outside of the partnership to identify what can be consolidated, what can be redirected to make sure that both energies and the energies in partnership are moving accordingly in the right direction. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is trying to move into partnership right now, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to, this is also showing a lot of positivity and productivity. I did warn for the energies trying to come into partnership yesterday, not to allow yourself to move from a space or state of triggering, but to really focus on the long-term goal that you both share. That is why you're trying to come into partnership. We are seeing this as a bit of an easement today as you start to work for that longer term alignment. There could even be a moment, again, the recognition that for the energies trying to come into partnership, there is going to be some point of modality of compromise that needs to come into play. But we like this because this is showing that there is an overall feeling and recognition of the ability to compromise today. A bit of that easement from some of that Aries full moon energy that I feel like we've still been riding the crest on. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is in separation, this is also very positive too, because what we're really seeing is, again, something that feels easier. We're starting this day with like a bit of that weight lifted. Why? Because for feminine, there may have been a point of making a decision as it relates to how to go forward that is effectively occurring today. We even saw for the feminine energy yesterday, there was a moment of asking what was going to allow for the feminine to feel most stable. For some of the feminine right now, this was allowing that point of walking away from anything that wasn't showing the ability or degree of a divine partnership at this time. There may have been for some of the feminine energy even a point of acceptance right now and allowing some energy in, but also with the observation that you are not going to get a divine partnership from them. But even that was a point of catharsis because it is effectively allowing the feminine energy to compartmentalize that energy even as they may decide to pursue and continue to pursue their long-term manifestation goals. Now, for masculine energy that's in separation right now, this is also going to feel like a bit of easement because, again, we are either seeing that this is masculine energy that chose their autonomy above all things, but there's something about you taking that time to really articulate and realize that it's not necessarily autonomy that you're seeking right now, but a very specific partnership dynamic. This is what's giving you the energy right now to go forward from this point. While for the other part of the masculine collective right now, this is effectively masculine trying to move towards a feminine energy at this time. Now, for the masculine energy that was trying to move towards a feminine energy, this was either that breakage point because we either saw that this was a masculine energy that was looking back to an energy that required some healing. This is either the moment that the masculine energy has determined that the healing that is required is too great a hurdle. It's too difficult. It would require too much vulnerability. This is masculine effectively moving away on their own journey. Or this is masculine energy that saw those hurdles, sees that gauntlet, is facing it with a lot of bravery and moving in the direction of that heart's desire. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Second card in our 5-card spread for today. We love this. This is beautiful, beautiful energy. We've got here our 6 of Cups. So again, masculine and feminine energy in partnership. You're effectively today is just vibing in the partnership. There could even be, we even identified that for some of the partnership energy, there was a lot of work that you were doing on trying to reach some point of healing as it relates to not just the partnership itself, but in outside situations and circumstances. Situations not even in the partnership that needed some level or degree of healing. We're seeing here that this could even speak about the fact that you're moving as a unified whole to be able to help heal the energy around you. And this is what we love when we see the divine union. Divine union is like a little battery. It's like once it starts up, it not just benefits the union itself, but all of the energies connected to it. We're getting a lot of that vibration here today. While for masculine and feminine energy that is working to come into partnership at this time, This is effectively, again, this moment of healing that's potentially coming into play right now. For the partnered energies, we did identify that there was this possibility of fracturing. The energy's trying to come into union at this time. Now, for those energies right now, one of two different modalities is effectively happening. This is either this point of allowing for a degree of easement in terms of what you've been experiencing. Remembering and recognizing the level or degree of care that you feel towards one another is helping to push you guys forward in the same direction. Even recognizing right now that what you're trying to ask each other for isn't something that is feeling oppositional. It is feeling like a gift. For the other part of the energy right now that's trying to move into partnership, this could potentially be seeking outside information and support from those positive karmic energies to help you recalibrate and steer something in a better direction. But we like this because on both of those modalities right now, we do see that there is this point of healing that is effectively coming into play. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is effectively in separation at this time, this is also feeling very positive at this moment. Feminine energy, we keep seeing there's a beautiful energy that we're identifying here of feminine holding on to their manifestation goal. This is not a feminine that is releasing their manifestation to move towards a masculine energy. This is not a moment of the feminine compromising on this. Rather, this is feminine energy reaching a point of catharsis as they decide how to move forward, getting external support around them as they do so. So a lot of positive energy, potentially even a lot of relief today, even for the feminine energy in separation. Today may feel like a much easier day than the last few days is what we're experiencing right now. Masculine energy in separation, we are also seeing that today is going to have some point of catharsis coming in or healing. For the masculine energy that's moving at a state or place of autonomy at this moment, this could be that moment of being able to realize how to move forward. Again, recognizing how you need to articulate what it is that you're seeking that is now empowering forward on your journey in a much bigger way than we've seen in like about the last week. While for the other part of the masculine energy right now, if you are trying to move back towards an energy that you recognize you left things in an unhealed karmic vibration with, today is potentially the day that you're trying to effectively heal that rift. Again, one of two different modalities coming into play right now. This is either the masculine energy that is recognizing the challenges, the hurdles in terms of moving back towards something. You are not letting them effectively block or stop you. You're in fact allowing them to motivate you, because the importance and the significance of healing the karmic connection in any way, shape, or form is what is taking priority at this time. Thank you for the gift. For the other part of the masculine collective right now, this is effectively potentially that moment that you are feeling too overwhelmed, too daunted. You are feeling a point right now that there's not something you can fix because there's too many hurdles, there's too many blockages. It's requiring too much vulnerability to do that. Instead, you're potentially moving away from that, but you're getting a lot of support from outside energy as you do so. Center card for today's spread. We have here our Four of Cups. Love these cards today. Different choices leading to different results. Masculine and feminine energy right now. What we like if you're in partnership at this moment, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to, is there is something here that feels like a bit of a sea change, even for the energy in partnership at this moment. There's something about, again, taking new approaches to situations, potentially even situations outside of the partnership itself, trying to heal connections or work on building better connections outside of the partnership at this time. But what's valuable is the fact that the partnership itself is leading to new ideas, new opportunities, new circumstances coming into play, new approaches to things. This is empowering not just the partnerships themselves, but all of the energy surrounding the partnership. A lot of that like positive battery effect. Now, for the masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into partnership or trying to come into partnership, this is also going to feel like potentially a point of catharsis, because while we did see a lot of that triggering energy yesterday, we're now seeing that there is something here about, again, focusing on what you're actually trying to reach for instead of where you are, and remembering the value of the karmic energy to support you as you do so. This could even be a day right now where you are proposing alternative solutions to one another as opposed to what is being asked. Because we did see that there was that point of bumping between what one energy was asking for the other and the resistance point that each was seeing to come into partnership or union. This could be a moment of, again, finding some of that compromise by looking and identifying new opportunities, new experiences, things of that nature. Now, for masculine and feminine that is in separation, this is also the feminine getting a lot of support as they choose to move forward at this time. Again, and we are also seeing here, I need to point out one of two different modalities that are effectively coming into play here, because we did see this potentially happening. We saw a bit of a split happening as it relates to this right now. For some of the feminine energy right now, we are seeing that this is the moment that you are holding fast to your long-term manifestation goal, the idea or desire of divine union and partnership that you are steering towards at this time. You are getting a lot of support with the energies around you as you proceed forward in this way, and it is requiring you and it's allowing you to take some of these new approaches as you proceed forward. This is something that you haven't necessarily done before in this way, but it is that firm, fixed point of view that is allowing you to feel like you're taking a bit of a risk, but potentially going to have different results as it relates to this. Specifically for energy that feels like this has been a bit of a repeating cycle, this breaking away and holding firm to this manifestation goal is going to feel like the sea change. Now, for other masculine, feminine energy right now, again, this is still a little bit of that energy that we saw coming into play yesterday. For some of the feminine energy right now, there is a weight that is potentially being had right now as it relates to, again, there's some potential observation of a partnership opportunity that's not potentially giving you that ability of having that divine union. There was even a moment that we saw that for some of that energy yesterday, there was a point of contemplation to ask yourself if you would be comfortable being in union with an energy that you knew was not going to offer that potentiality. For some of the feminine, this is still something that is being considered at this time. The important thing that's happening that feels like a sea change about this is not a feminine energy that is entering into something blindly. There would be a lot of observation and intentionality in the feminine recognizing exactly what the circumstances and situations are prior to entering them. That in itself is a bit of the sea change, because it's feminine being able to have the choice for themselves as opposed to feeling like they are being misled or misdirected. Now, for masculine that is effectively in separation at this time, this is a lot of that work that you are doing as it relates to moving towards your long-term goals and manifestations at this time. For half of the masculine collective right now, this is that moment that we see that while you are choosing autonomy, it's not that you are choosing autonomy. It's recognizing exactly something about the last week has helped you really clarify what it is that you're actually seeking in partnership. And it almost feels like a relief, because now it's helping you recognize and understand that all you need to do is articulate to find the energy that is in alignment to you in terms of what it is that you're seeking. This is a bit of the sea change, because again, it is the level and degree of openness that you're potentially bringing to a situation, that openness coming from within, that you're now ready to express from without, that's giving you the confidence to go forward at this time. While for the other part of the masculine collective right now that is in separation, this is that moment that we're effectively identifying that, again, we're seeing a bit of a split here. For half of the masculine collective, you are trying to move towards your heart's desire at this time. The difficulty and the hurdle and the challenge is the fact that now that you are ready for divine union, someone or something that you are trying to move towards, you now realize the partnership is not healed. Time did not heal something that you may have hoped or anticipated would heal. There's a lot of hurdles there. Again, one of two different modalities if that is the case. This is either a masculine energy that's seeing the hurdles, they're seeing the challenges, they're seeing the approaches, they're recognizing that it's going to be rough terrain. But masculine energy is refortifying themselves in that direction, specifically because the power of the karmic connection is so strong that they're willing to take any approach necessary to try to come back into union with that energy. Now, for the other part of the masculine collective right now, this is that oppositional effect. There's something here that while you may feel a draw towards this energy, you are potentially feeling like there are too many difficulties, there are too many hurdles. This is something that you may have been trying to get outside support from right now as you try to continue to move away from it. But again, it is almost creating a point of pause and difficulty right now, because this is not necessarily something that you desire to do, but something that you are trying to challenge yourself in terms of understanding how one could do. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Fourth card is, we love to see this right now. 6 of Pentacles, reciprocity, reciprocity, reciprocity. Now, masculine and feminine energy in partnership right now. This is just that, like, again, we've got like that positive battery coming into effect. You're feeling the significance, you're feeling the strength of the forward momentum, not even necessarily needing to put a lot of care and energy into the partnership. There's something about this partnership, again, divine union partnership, effectively a bit self-sustaining as it were, allowing you to concentrate your energy on outside people, outside situations, building those outside connections. This is also allowing you to have new approaches, potentially getting advice and guidance in the partnership that's helping you heal some outside connections in a more positive way. Because what's effectively happening right now is, again, we identified that the feminine and masculine energy in partnership right now was effectively pulling back on some situations, obligations, and circumstances, all for being able to give back to others. And we're seeing that some of that balance right now is paying off. Some of that balance is paying off because it's almost allowing for this level of care, degree of energy to be able to put in those outside situations, all for the sake of deeper healing. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is moving into partnership at this time, we are also seeing that this is a bit of that easement. This is a lot of that positivity that we wanted to see over the last few days, which started to get kind of triggering, potentially coming to the fold today, specifically because everyone's feeling a lot more generous today. There may have been some kind of break point that was reached yesterday. But what we like about this is something about the energies coming into partnership right now is not necessarily focusing at the exact moment. You're not focusing on exactly where you find yourself right now, but you're allowing yourself to cast your eye forward. You're letting yourself cast your eye forward to what you're aspiring for. Again, moving with a state and space of intentionality instead of reactivity. Focusing on the bond that is bringing you together at this time, that unified energy. This is allowing you to take new approaches, potentially even coming to a point of compromise or coming up with new alternatives as to how you can come into union at this time. And this is giving a sense or state of reciprocity at that moment for the energies trying to come into partnership. For masculine and feminine in separation right now, this is more of that catharsis energy that we love to see. Feminine energy right now is staying very focused and staying very, very, very focused on what it is that you're truly trying to build towards at this moment. For the feminine, we even identified there may have been a moment that we are effectively seeing that the feminine energy basically has said to themselves, there is a point of staying focused in terms of where they're trying to go. And also trying to stay focused on what feels like it is positive karmic energy in their life right now. For the feminine energy that is staying completely focused on the long-term focus goal of divine union or divine partnership, we see that this is you moving with a lot of purpose towards this. This is a bit of the sea change because what we're really identifying is, again, feminine not being swayed, feminine not being moved, feminine keeping the purpose on the idea of union as opposed to getting fixated on an energy that is resistant to it is the sea change. And that's allowing it because the feminine is staying focused on what feels like it is positive and reciprocal. Now, the other part of the feminine collective right now in separation, there may be a bit of a difference happening here. For some of the feminine energy right now, there could be a moment of potentially having a point of observation where, again, you may have kind of recognized right now that there is a connection that you want to continue with energy, trying to maintain a positive karmic connection to it. The thing is, being able to do so would effectively have to force you to walk and chew gum because it would effectively be a circumstance or situation where you would continue to move forward trying to find that long-term manifestation goal for yourself, but not necessarily with that energy. This is that moment that may also be considering a point of approach because this could be a feminine energy almost wondering if they could do both, wondering if they can have an energy in their life that they know that there will not be a long-term commitment potential with, while also steering in the direction of trying to seek one. Two different modalities right now for the energies in separation. While for masculine in separation right now, we are again seeing two different modalities. This is either the modality of the masculine that chose autonomy above all, now recognizing that autonomy wasn't actually what you were seeking. You're just seeking a very, 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 very specific partnership dynamic. You are now recognizing that from within. You recognize how to articulate it. It's empowering you to give forward right now, making sure, having that light bulb moment of realizing that what you ask for, You will receive, you can receive, but first you need to use your words. So this is good. This is a lot of the growth that we're seeing here as it relates to the energy that chose autonomy to a certain degree, because you're realizing that it wasn't autonomy that you were seeking refinement. Now, for masculine energy that is trying to move back towards a feminine manifestation, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, this is, again, two different modalities that we're effectively seeing coming into play here. This is either a masculine energy right now that is looking at all of the challenges, all of the situations around this manifestation, and they are looking too daunting. It's looking too overwhelming. There's a degree and desire to want to move away from it. But again, the energy calling you back to that karmic connection is very strong. It's effectively trying to make you figure out some approaches as it relates to how to give forward to that in a way that will effectively even heal it. Almost coming into a space or place right now where this energy may not necessarily be trying to come back into union with the energy, but almost just wanting to come into a space where the karmic connection is healed. Maybe even getting outside information or getting some advice from those around them as it relates to what to do at this time. While for the other part of the masculine collective right now, we are seeing that this is that moment that you're seeing the gauntlet, you're seeing the levels and degree of difficulty to come back into union with an energy, and it is not stopping you or blocking you. It is just empowering you further. It's giving you even more conviction to want to move very directly towards that energy, regardless of what is effectively in the way. Because again, the need or the desire to want to heal this connection is effectively overriding anything that feels like is potentially weight in the wake of it. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Fifth card in our 5-card spread. We have 2 cards coming out. Very positive cards. We've got here the 10 of Pentacles and our 3 of Pentacles. Beautiful, strong foundations today. Not just internally in partnership and union, but also in the energy supporting the unions themselves and the partnerships themselves. For masculine and feminine in partnership right now, this is just having this point where you're recognizing how beautiful and easy it is when you're in divine union and partnership, because you don't need to worry about the partnership. You don't need to worry about it. It's almost like it's self-evident. It doesn't require when you live in a house that's not broken, you don't need to be constantly checking the roof, is basically what we're seeing right now for the energies are in partnership. And that's what the energies in divine union are like. We love it here. Look, this place is nice. We don't have to look at the roof all the time. It's not collapsing on us, And the partnered energies right now are effectively taking all of that energy that they would effectively spend in partnership or trying to come into partnership and just putting it into productive spaces outside of the partnership itself. While for masculine and feminine energy that is working to come into partnership, this is also looking very positive and productive, because again, there's something about the energy the coming into partnership right now that you're seeing that there's a foundation here. You're figuring out right now, you're not letting the disparity points drive you away from each other. There could even have been a moment today that we're seeing that there needs to be a bit of refocusing that's happening, which is like, look, you and I are very close to wanting the same thing. We just have very different ways of getting there. Today, we can almost see that for the energies that are trying to move into partnership, there's an observation of that. This is not about the differing desires. It's about differing methodologies on how to reach that point. And this is what we like, because this is almost allowing that point of recognition that you're both desiring the same thing is what's allowing you to come up with new ideas on how to get there, potentially more of that compromise energy. Masculine and feminine in separation right now, this is also feeling very positive and productive. Today is potentially going to feel a lot easier than the last week, because we saw that the last week for the energy in separation has been very, very hard. For the feminine particularly, this is a moment where you are suddenly feeling what's happened. What's happened with the feminine? Feminine has figured out a way to go forward. Feminine has figured out a way to go forward. This was feminine energy, I will point out, that was caught in a state or space of limbo. Why was the feminine caught in a state or space of limbo? Because feminine energy was missing a connection that they recognized they could not have a divine union with, while also not wanting to go back to that, but also recognizing that they didn't want to go forward because the truth was that they desired the divine union with the energy that did not want it. For mass feminine energy, the reason that we're seeing that this is becoming stable right now is this is a feminine that has come to a point of catharsis around this internally that is now motivating your actions. Feminine energy has a plan right now. This is, again, either feminine energy that is staying solely focused, absolutely focused, divine union or no union at all. And that point of observation is what is motivating and empowering the feminine energy to move forward, okay? Regardless, it is the focus on what they're trying to create for themselves that is allowing for that point of productivity right now, potentially even reaching out, getting a lot of support from the energy around them as they do so. For the other part of the feminine collective right now, this is a point of potentially figuring out a modality by which you can effectively keep this energy in your life while also potentially trying to continue to move forward and try to seek divine union. This could be a point of personal compromise that you're effectively finding within yourself at this time that's effectively allowing you to walk and chew gum on some kind of emotional or spiritual level right now. This is also giving you some point of motivation because it's kind of allowing you to continue forward on your long-term path while also making room to be able to maintain or sustain something about this connection. Masculine energy right now that is in separation, we see again one of two different modalities at play. This is a masculine energy right now that now is able to articulate the recognition that what you desire was not necessarily autonomy, but a very specific partnership dynamic is what is empowering you, because what you've effectively landed upon is what a divine union would actually be to you. You are now, in a way, the energy that thought that they were coming into a space or place of desiring autonomy has now realized that it is not autonomy that they are seeking. They are seeking a very specific model of a divine union. And this is what's motivating the energy right now, because now it is allowing them to articulate on what they are seeking in new ways, new possibilities, a new approach that is opening the door to new foundations and new possibilities. While for the masculine energy right now that is trying to move back towards a manifestation of feminine, this is again a moment that this is potentially energy that has decided that they want to go into divine union. The problem here is recognizing that the energy that they want to go into divine union with, they were not necessarily in connection with. There may have even been a feeling of allowing time to fix it, didn't fix it. This energy right now is, again, either two different modalities. Either this is energy that is moving towards that energy despite any challenges and hurdles for the sake of starting anew, trying to see if there is something here that can become positive and productive. Or this is an energy right now that is also considering that. There may be potentially even considering that it's not just the fact, it may even be right now, if this is happening, that there may even be a point of comprehension of not necessarily just trying to get back into partnership with this energy for the sake of partnership, but almost wanting to come into a state or space of making amends, wanting to heal the karma that is potentially attached to this, that you recognize and value is in a point of damage at this time. For both of these modalities, there is a need right now to heal. One is moving towards it despite all odds. The other is trying to get advice from others on what to do about it. There's still a point of anxiety in terms of the vulnerability that would be required. And this is that moment of seeking outside support to try to lend assistance and figuring out how they can do so in a way that isn't going to be as problematic as they may ideally desire. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Chariot in combination with our Six of Cups. So positive, productive energy here, masculine and feminine. May I please have one card to clarify? Bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Oh boy. Nobody panic. Nobody panic. This actually makes perfect sense. Okay. So what are we effectively seeing right now for the energies that are in partnership? Again, one of the things that we're effectively identifying right now is, again, for energies that are in partnership, is there is potentially a lot of observation towards what feels like it is supportive to the partnership or the union versus what feels like it is not in that modality. right? We even identified and observed this. This is that point that we saw that for some of the energy right now, there is a feeling of having to recalibrate, having to effectively recall some of your own energy for the sake of the support of the partnership and to help you steer going forward. This is more of that work and observation in terms of what is feeling like it is aiding and abetting in that process versus habits, modes of thinking, behaviors, patterns, maybe even unhealed karmic connections that may be having some impact or not positive or a detriment on the relationship itself. This is potentially a point of observation right now as it relates to what is working and what is not working. And it's almost coming into stark contrast right now. Like the more things are working well, the easier it is to see and identify the things that are not working. And that's effectively why we're seeing like two different modalities right now in terms of recognizing what feels like it is something that can be healed versus what it feels like it needs that space and place of healing. Now, for masculine and feminine energy right now that is moving into partnership, this is more of that observation that we were identifying, because what did we effectively see? What was causing the fracture point in the energy that's trying to come into partnership at this time? We identified that those energies are both aligned in terms of where they want to go. They are aligned in terms of how they feel about each other. This is what is standing between them. It is this point right now of observing some things that feel unhealthy. They feel like they might be unhealthy connections, harmful to the possibility of partnership right now. This is that point of observation, what I just said. Our goals are the same. Our methods of getting there are different, and our perception on what is standing in the way is different, because again, there could be a lot of discussion and disputing right now in terms of how to adjust, because somebody could be saying like, I don't think this is a good thing. I don't think this person's a good thing. I don't think being in connection with this person's a good thing. I don't think you doing X, Y, and Z is a good thing. And the other person saying, no, it's fine. It's harmless. It's supportive. It's great. You know, again, and this is like some of that back and forth, trying to like come into that happy medium. What can everyone settle for? Well, for masculine and feminine energy in separation right now, this, what did I say? What did I say about the feminine? For some of the feminine in separation, this is how the feminine in separation is motivating forward. For half of the feminine energy right now, this is what is allowing you to move forward. You are looking right now, you are keeping your focus on divine union, divine partnership, and you are looking at anything that is not creating divine partnership as something you are steering away from. Even if you have a connection to it, you're like, yeah, of course I have a connection to it. It's a physical connection. It's a passionate connection. But there's no possibility of a long-term collaborative divine partnership there. This is the feminine really motivating themselves forward today. For the other half of the feminine collective in separation right now, this is also how you might be experiencing this. This could be a feminine energy saying, I'm going to drive forward. I'm going to drive forward and try to find that divine partnership. But I'm going to keep this as well. I'm going to keep this as well, but I'm going to only look at it as something that is only in the center of need, only in the center of passion, only in the center of being in that modality. So for half of the feminine collective right now, this is a break away from that. For the other half, this is what I meant with the devaluing of it. This is what I meant about the feminine looking at something and saying, if I have to stay in connection with someone who has effectively shown me in some way that they do not desire that divine union, I need to keep them in this space where I recognize that that is where they are and that is where they remain. Now, for the feminine that's doing that, this is effectively walking and chewing gum. Now, for masculine that is in separation, this is, again, some of that breakaway point, because what we're seeing, again, for masculine energy that's in separation, this is a point of optics in terms of articulating what it is that you are truly seeking. For the masculine that was choosing autonomy right now, there is potentially even a point where you are realizing that you are going to have to articulate to energy that you do not desire divine union. For some of the feminine energy, you're recognizing they'll be okay with it. They'll be kind of in the same space. For some, they're not going to like it. They're not going to look at it as a positive. This is how the masculine energy is effectively recognizing this right now. You're coming to terms with the fact that what you're effectively offering to those around you isn't necessarily potentially going to be everyone's cup of tea. But what's appreciative about this is, again, even if you're moving from the state or space right now, you're effectively recognizing that you need to be more expressive about what you desire to make sure that you aren't being viewed in this unhealthy space, this unhealthy energy, so that you're not necessarily being viewed as someone who's trying to bring someone into a lower vibration, but instead trying to be as open as possible on your needs and your own desires so that other energy can see and make the choice for themselves. While for masculine energy that is trying to move towards a feminine right now, that you are in separation with and potentially recognizing that there's healing needed, this is the problem. This is the hurdle. Because you may even be recognizing right now that while you feel a deep connection right now to some feminine energy that you are not that you are in separation for, it has everything to do with how that energy views you right now. It could have everything to do with the fact that the way or the space that you left it, you're trying to understand and recognize the fact that the energy itself may be very hesitant and cautious of coming back into contact with you because something of the way you left it was unhealthy, was unhealed, was not positive. This is that point of healing that effectively needs to be reached on these experiences, and you're recognizing that you're going to have to observe. Again, you're going to have an observation in terms of seeing and articulating to that energy that you recognize your own part in some of those difficulties and hurdles to show that energy that you've effectively healed. Half of the masculine collective, again, this is that work that you're willing to undertake. This is that step that you're doing in both energies, because there is something here that's saying that in order to at least heal this, and for some of the energy, this is to come back into partnership. For the other half, this may be a point of consternation in terms of saying like, well, even if I'm not coming back in contact with that energy, I don't like where I left it. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our 6 of Cups in combination with our 4 of Cups. May I please have one card to clarify? Okay. 5 of Cups. A lot of cup energy here. That's good. It's positive. Now, for masculine and feminine energy right now, we said that if you're in partnership, there is this feeling right now. There has to be this point of looking at some situations and circumstances that don't feel like they are in a healthy or positive vibration. There is something here about having to tackle some of these hurdles, and it is feeling bittersweet to a certain extent. Again, the problem with devil energy is like it's hard to let go of something, because if it was easy to let go of it, it wouldn't be devil energy. There's something here that like is hard to release. For masculine and feminine energy right now, there's been a lot of assessment and partnership on what needs to be released because it's not serving the highest good of both the people in the partnership or the partnership itself. This is feeling a bit bittersweet because there is some grief in that release process. It's not easy, but it is feeling productive and it is feeling supportive. And in a way, anyone who's coming into some modalities right now of trying to heal from bad habits or bad like coping mechanisms, this is a lot of positive energy today, getting a lot of support in partnership as you continue forward in that release process. For masculine and feminine energy right now that's moving into partnership, this is the problem with compromise, isn't it? This is the problem with the compromise that's effectively required right now as it relates to coming into partnership at this time, because it's requiring new approaches. This is those options that are being brought to the table right now. It's just difficult because in either situation, you got to let something go, right? This is giving a lot of energy of the reminder that like a good deal is one where both people leave the table feeling a little disappointed. There could be some of that vibration coming through right now as it relates to the energy trying to come into partnership by being like having some point of concession. We'll be like, well, can you do this instead? Yes, I can do that. Can you do this instead? Yes, I can do that. And it's a little bittersweet, but we also see that this is that moment that is allowing for the healing to come in to the partnerships, that is allowing for the potentiality and possibility of divine union to occur. While for masculine and feminine energy in separation right now, this is going to feel very different, especially for the feminine. Because what are we seeing with the feminine that is in separation at this time? 2 different modalities, a split that is happening right now as it relates to where we find the feminine in separation. This is either feminine energy that is staying focused on the aspiration of the divine union, of the commitment, of the partnership. They're letting and they are releasing energy that they still feel connected to because they are recognizing the choice, and the choice that they're aspiring for is the manifestation goal. They're not going to be deviated from it. The other part, and it's bittersweet, the other part of the feminine collective right now is effectively not potentially releasing this connection. But, as I said, instead of releasing it, they're seeing it for what it is. They're looking at the only way they can keep the connection is if they maintain a point of observing it and saying, this is either something that is only physical. This is either something that's only coming from a need-based perspective. They are devaluing the possibility of the relationship at this time. And that is what is allowing the feminine to continue forward, again, holding on to the connection, but also choosing divine partnership. They're not departing from that goal. They're almost like creating their own situationship here. And this is what's feeling bittersweet, because the feminine doesn't want to do this. They're making the observed decision to do it. They're making that observable choice to do so. This is why the feminine's doing it with open eyes, as it were. Now, for the masculine energy that's in separation at this time, what we're effectively seeing is, again, masculine energy that is coming from a point of autonomy, and now you're recognizing that what you're actually seeking is not autonomy, but a very specific model of divine union. This is something that is feeling like a little bit of a rift. It's feeling like a bit of a sea change, because this could even be a moment, divine masculine, where you're looking back on past experiences and you're potentially even realizing and recognizing, wow, if I had approached these in this vibration, they probably would have worked. You may even be having a point right now of feeling some of this, recognizing that now that you've discovered this within yourself, it's like a light bulb going off and being like, that would have made that past situation work. If I had been more articulate, some of these things that haven't gone well for me probably would have gone well, because this is now you realizing what the feminine was saying to you when they were asking you to be open and to tell them what you wanted. So this is feeling a little bittersweet for the masculine going through this, because even now it could be feeling a bit like too little too late, especially as it relates to now, again, looking backwards, seeing connections that this articulation potentially could have worked on. But you're also letting it empower you as you go forward from this point, because now you're like, I get it now. I understand what these people, what this person, what this individual was trying to tell me all that time ago. I get it now. Light bulb, it's bittersweet. But it's allowing you a more productive path going forward. While for masculine right now, for that is already in that space, effectively you're already potentially in that space, masculine. This is, again, these are where now you see what's happening. They're coming back together. And for the masculine energy that's trying to move towards a manifestation of feminine that they now aspire and desire divine union with, this is potentially also feeling a bit bittersweet, because again, this is masculine energy that again recognizes and realizes. This is almost masculine energy that is now kind of in a place and space that's like saying to themselves, I don't even care. For some of it, this is coming through and being like, I just want to reestablish the friendship, because what's effectively happening right now is this is a point of personal understanding, personal clarity, that you're now potentially wanting to do because you recognize that it can heal a connection. For the other part of the masculine collective, this is you effective, because you're looking at this potentially, and even if you're seeing all of these blockages and being able to come back towards this energy, you're now in the space or place where you're like, I just want things to be good. For the other part of the masculine collective, this is that moment that you're looking at this and saying, I want this with that person. I want this with that person, and I know that there's a lot of hurdles. I know there's a lot of stumbling blocks. I'm going to do whatever's necessary. In both situations, there's a recognition of, again, vulnerability that is necessary. Having to be open, having to be clear, having to articulate your own grief, having to observe to the karmic energy where you went wrong, an observation in them, you recognizing your own past mistakes, to be able to refortify the connection. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Four of Cups in combination with our Six of Pentacles. One card, please. Knight of Swords in its reversal. Okay, this will feel a bit different depending on where you fall. For partnered energies right now, it's actually interesting. This is actually partnered energies right now. The masculine energy, it's almost like creating a state of ease right now for masculine. You know what I mean? That's what we're really seeing. The funny part about this right now is there's a moment right now where masculine, you may not necessarily be feeling like that super ambitious right now in partnership. You may be feeling like you're just kind of like floating to a certain extent or vibing. But this is something that's probably feeling like a positive right now, because this is almost like this point of contentment that's potentially coming right now in divine partnership. It's almost like hard to find your like va boom right now, because like, again, it's just like you're feeling like you're getting everything that you effectively need to a certain extent, you know? And it's almost like creating this space or place that's allowing you a point, like it might even feel, I got to point out for like the masculine right now, it may even be feeling like a bit of like what do I do now kind of thing. Like you might not be sure what to do right now. Because like you're like, oh, I've got all this like I got all this extra time because I'm not chasing after things. I'm just like in the supportive environment. It's like creating this like spin. You know, like when your dad starts building a birdhouse, this is why dads start building birdhouses. Like it's almost creating that kind of energy. Like the energy right now that's in partnership, if you're a masculine, you might just be like, the problem right now might just be a little uncertainty about like what to do right now or what to do today. For feminine right now, this could almost be seeing this in the masculine right now. You know, this could almost be a moment right now. This could be feeling like a little bit more like frustrating to the feminine, because the feminine right now isn't necessarily in this modality. Like there's something here about the masculine having this like surfeit of time, or not necessarily having a point of easement, that like, you know, the feminine is not necessarily in that vibration. It seems like feminine's putting a lot more energy in right now. So this could almost be the feminine looking at the masculine like that, being like, must be nice. Well, for masculine and feminine energy that are moving into partnership right now, again, there is something here that feels like a little bit of a concession. And for the masculine, this concession is going to feel harder. Specifically because, again, there's something here about the masculine energy. You're recognizing that there's something here that you may have to feel like you need to relinquish right now, masculine, in order to come into partnership. It's making you feel vulnerable. Masculine, you may even be trying to articulate to feminine right now why something they are asking you to do makes you feel vulnerable. You know? But what's nice about it is you're not just resisting. You're potentially being more open and articulate about why. Feminine, you may be seeing this right now from the masculine. You may be understanding that like maybe something you're asking them to do, you may be misunderstanding why they're choosing not to do it, or their own hesitancy in doing it. And this is also, again, potentially allowing for a point where you're getting a little bit more creative in terms of finding that middle ground with the energy. Because you're seeing that lack of confidence doesn't necessarily mean a lack of confidence to you. It more feels like them not trying to be aggressive to energy outside of the partnership. While for masculine and feminine energy that is in separation, this is, again, for the feminine energy right now that's in separation, this is more of that split that we saw. Because what's happening right now is, again, for feminine energy that is focusing solely and entirely on masculine energy that desires divine union and partnership. This is why you're effectively relinquishing on this, because you're not seeing the masculine energy reciprocating right now in a time of separation. You're looking at this right now as an energy that does not care to reciprocate, that doesn't show that ability or that need. And that is what's almost confirming your own choice to move forward at this time. Desiring energy that gives back in kind, that you don't need to potentially push to be able to get that kind of reciprocity from. For the other part of the feminine collective right now in separation, this is that moment that effectively is allowing you to continue forward in this connection, but again, with a different perception of the masculine. a different perception of them. Your opinion of that masculine has changed to such a degree right now that you're effectively able to participate and give back to them, but you are giving back to them in a different way than what you may have before. Because what you're effectively doing is you're recalibrating your opinion on this masculine based on their actions. You're potentially even looking at this right now, if you're maintaining a connection with this energy, only from a specific space or place. This is where they are. This is where they'll stay. And as a result of that, you're finding a way to potentially continue to move forward. But again, they don't get all of your time now. They don't get all of you. They only get a portion. You're deciding what that portion is. And that is the choice that you're moving, because that's effectively allowing you to like walk and chew gum, continuing to look and move forward as you relate to trying to find that divine union, while also leaving energy out to have this connection. For masculine, doghouse. For masculine that's in separation right now, this is again also, and interestingly for the masculine, these are the two modalities forming back into one. The masculine energy that is now articulating enough to really identify what it is that you're truly seeking, and you're starting to feel the confidence in terms of asking for it so that you'll receive it. There is still some anxiety as it relates to how. You're kind of learning how to do this. You haven't done this in this way or to this degree before, and it is creating a little bit of hesitancy that you may need to continue to work through at this time. You may not necessarily be like doing this to such a degree right now. This could also be for some of the masculine energy, while you're looking back at some past energy that you now realize and recognize was effectively asking this from you, that you're now seeing. Because it's almost easier to go back to the past energy with this than effectively go forward. While for masculine energy that is in separation right now, that is moving with determination to a manifestation of feminine right now, again, this is that moment that like you're not necessarily sure what you're going to get back, but you just feel the need and the overpowering desire to effectively try. For the masculine doing so right now, it has more to do with the anxiety and how it will be received, how it will be appreciated, whether it will be received. There's a lot of anxiety here because there is something here about the level and degree of vulnerability it's taking to try to heal this connection. It's recognizing and realizing that you are now willing to give forward in a way that you weren't willing to give forward before. And you're almost realizing as you do that, that it's not really anyone's responsibility to take it at this time, because at the time that they aspired for it, you weren't willing to give it. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Six of Pentacles in combination with our Ten of Pentacles, in combination with our Three of Pentacles. Look at these cards today, guys. Strong foundations, reciprocity. Love to see this for the collective. Nice, grounded energy. May I please have one card? Everybody's getting more serious now, huh? Nobody's making this not a game anymore, isn't it? Masculine and feminine energy right now. Even in partnership, there's a feeling right now, like even in the point, like here's the thing I like about this. There's something about the fact that even in the sense and space right now of masculine and feminine coming into a state of easement, there's a lot of intentionality here. No time for games, no time for distractions. Even the distractions I'm seeing right now are going to feel like they are productive, that they are enriching. Specifically for masculine, because we're almost seeing it right now, especially for the masculine energy, there is something so much that's happening that you're discovering if you're coming into divine union, of not just the stable environment that the union creates for yourself, but also the energy around the partnership that the partnership itself generates, that like is making you want to put more and more and more time and energy into it, because you're seeing the fact that it feels like almost like this firm, strong momentum that you're building that has very definitive, tangible results. This is what's creating the state or space for even like the energy right now, again, further pulling away from anything that doesn't feel like it builds upon that architecture, masculine and feminine. While for masculine and feminine energy that is moving into partnership at this time, this is also this level and degree of feeling like you are coming into a state or space of seriousness. For the masculine energy that is effectively being asked to release or relinquish something right now on the part of the feminine as they come into partnership and union at this time, this could be an observation of masculine realizing that feminine is looking and seeking for some point of proof to make sure that the masculine energy is no longer playing games. This could even be a moment that the masculine realizes that this isn't necessarily even a vibration that they're going to have to maintain long term. This is an immediate concession that needs to be observed and experienced right now. Like almost like a small personal sacrifice, if you will, of one's own like liberty to build this sense of foundation going forward. And for the masculine doing this right now, there's almost like a point of optics and understanding that's coming into play right now. This could even be what the feminine is trying to articulate and say to the masculine, like, I just need to see the fact that you are actually committed to this, that there's some kind of change that it's going to elicit. So for the energies right now, moving into partnership right now, the bigger question is whether masculine's ready to step into that role or not. There'll be a lot of focus right now on the masculine to see, because again, feminine's almost continuing to ask the masculine to show in some way, shape, or form this level or degree of seriousness. And this is either masculine stepping into this role and also recognizing it's kind of like a personal change as well. This is almost like a maturation process for the masculine as they do so. Or, you know, if there's still that point of like resistance, right? Well, for masculine and feminine in separation right now, much different energy. Feminine, completely just being as practical and pragmatic as possible. How is this happening? Feminine energy, again, one of two different modalities, which is either this is a feminine energy rejecting any energy that is coming towards them for fun, for games. This is pushing away anything that doesn't show the opportunity or possibility of divine union. Firmly fixating and staying focused on what feels like it is creating a stable, supportive environment for themselves. What's going to give back in the same degree? What is going to allow for that productive environment? This is that stability that we see here. For the other part of the feminine collective right now, this is the opposite effectively happening, because what we're really seeing here is this is a feminine energy that's getting incredibly pragmatic about situations and circumstances. What do I mean about pragmatic? Feminine energy is effectively going for both. Feminine energy saying, I'm going to continue to look for that divine masculine. I'm going to keep looking for that divine union. But I'm also going to be very practical with the things around me. This is, again, feminine energy potentially looking at the energy that does not want to come into union with them and saying, like, for every hammer, there's a nail. And that's what we mean with the fact that there's an observation point about the limitation of effectively allowing that energy that may have potentially said that they don't want that divine partnership coming into play and being like, well, there's room for you too. It's just going to be in a different room. And so that's effectively what we're seeing is effectively happening here as well. This has been one or two different modalities. Now, for masculine and feminine energy, for masculine energy and separation right now, this is that point of maturation that you yourself are experiencing. For the masculine energy that effectively is now ready or understanding that what they're seeking is not necessarily autonomy, but a very, 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 very specific dynamic in partnership. This is effectively masculine getting that energy to really move forward in a big way. And masculine, this could be feeling like you're taking things more seriously, because you are. You're not just moving from a state or space of enjoyment. You're moving now with a very intentional aspiration as it relates to partnership. And what you need to communicate right now is the fact that you're not doing that in a way that feels silly. You're not doing that in a way that feels flippant. You're not doing that in a way that feels self-centered, because you're articulating and you are expressing exactly what it is that you desire, to give someone the option and opportunity to either agree to it or bow out of it. While for the masculine energy right now that is trying to move back into connection with feminine, and even for some of this masculine energy, you're now becoming that energy, right? Because you may be discovering that you want to do this with someone that you may already have connection with. See how the connection of the energy comes back together? For the masculine energy that is focusing right now on a singular manifestation of feminine, that is trying to come back into union with them, this is that moment that you are recognizing. And this is almost the moment that with masculine, this is potentially even feeling like, I'm okay with any place we leave it except where it's been left. There's a point right now where masculine is focusing really hard on just healing some of these karmic connections. You may even be feeling the weight of some of these unhealed karmic connections around you right now. You may even be having a moment of observation and you're seeing the full scope of it. And this is that moment where it's like effectively some of the masculine energy right now, not in partnership, is potentially going back to some of this energy, not even to potentially like For some of it, it's with the driving force of wanting to come back into divine union with that energy. For the other part of it, it's like, I don't want to leave things where we left it. I want to be good with you. I want to be good with us. I recognize my own failings. I understand now what effectively happened. That's that maturation process that's happening. And what's nice about this is the masculine energy. If you're doing this, you're recognizing now that you're doing it for them, but you're also doing it for you. Because you're the one who's grown. You have evolved now. And this is that moment that you are wanting to do this so much, as much for yourself as for that energy. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Devil and our Five of Cups. Hard energy. May I please have one card, please? Card to clarify unresolved issues from the past. I'm not surprised to see that this is where everything's getting a little bit more titchy. A little bit more titchy today. A little bit more conflicty. What's the conflict point? Open-ended situations and circumstances from the past that you're holding regret on. For energies that are in partnership right now, this may be some situations or circumstances from the past that are unresolved that still need some healing. Something that is effectively, potentially even affecting the partnership right now, causing some degree of difficulty, causing some degree of burden. But trying to effectively work through this right now, looking, observing, trying to say, what can we do to heal this? What can we do to fix this? Again, if you're working right now with coping mechanisms or things of healing today, there's something very potentially, like, I have to warn, potentially triggering, but also potentially productive today in doing this work. Make sure that you're reaching out to the right people when we see energy like this, because this could feel a little bit heavy, because we've got like a lot of regret for the past coming in, and a lot of grief, and a lot of unhealthy current like energy, or tight energy. Like for the energy right now in partnership, this could be a lot of those observations right now, on that release process, on these things that you're potentially trying to let go of, but that are still somehow, not able to be released completely. And there's almost like a point right now of helping one another through that. Observing that like a healing process is a healing process for a reason. And some days that healing is harder than others. While for masculine and feminine energy that is trying to come into partnership right now, this is a bit of that trigger that we saw yesterday coming into play, right? There's a bit of a recalibration of focus right now, like keep your eye on the prize, if you will, happening. But there's also an observation on where you find yourselves at this moment. Because where you find yourself at this moment isn't where you aspire to be. And it is requiring a moment that feels somewhat bittersweet, because you're looking at where you are right now and you're almost recognizing the past kind of led you to this place. There's some kind of feeling right now of remorse, of regret, and trying to have the optics and saying, like, what can we do to adjust and fix and amend these? And even potentially an observation and saying, let's not repeat the mistakes of the past. Let's make sure we make different choices going forward. While for energies right now in separation, this is still some of that heaviness that we see that is still being carried on these. Again, for the feminine energy that is effectively choosing divine partnership above all things, this is effectively a release process. Because what you're effectively having to do in order to move away from this energy is you have to just look at it as the harmful aspect. You're effectively now looking at this energy that you potentially are feeling this drive or need to move towards, but does not desire commitment with you, as almost like something that feels like an unhealthy connection. It is an unhealthy karmic connection. That's how you are viewing it. You are observing it in that facility because it is. Because it's something that you are observing and feeling that you feel a need and desire towards, but isn't in your best interest. And that is that moment that we're effectively seeing right now that is so hard, because again, while there is this feeling of loss and grief here that you're working through, there's also a moment of effectively walking away from something. Of having the victory be the fact that you are choosing not to let yourself get caught in something that you know isn't necessarily taking you to that long-term goal that you desire. For the other part of the feminine collective right now, this is you potentially not walking away from that. It might even be you walking back towards it, but not fully. Not fully. The problem is now you're walking towards it and you're not looking at it as a state of positivity. You're just looking at it as something that's like a guilty pleasure, if you will. It's like you've just turned something that you thought was a divine union into a guilty pleasure. And that is the grief. That's the grief that you're carrying on this, because that's the thing where you're saying, I'm letting this in, but it's not my everything anymore. This is just something I do. That's that devaluing I'm talking about. And the feminine doesn't want to do that, but it's the only way they can maintain that connection should they choose to keep it. While for masculine right now that is in separation, this is a lot more of that work that we're effectively seeing. Because what we're effectively identifying right now is, again, you are navigating a space or place where we are seeing that, again, for the masculine energy that is now able to articulate, you realize now what you have to say, what you should have said, to be able to make sure that you haven't created more unhealed karmic energy by giving someone the wrong idea. This is very painful, because what we're seeing here is there's a lot of regret and a lot of remorse now, because now you realize, you recognize what was causing the issues in the past. You may even have some light bulb moments in terms of what someone was asking you for that you're now ready to give. And this is where we see those two energetic groups merging back, because for some of that masculine energy, this isn't making you look forward. It's making you look in the past. It's making you potentially even see some energy that asked this from you. Told you they wanted you to be open. Told you to articulate on what it is that you wanted. And now the light bulb's clicked. So again, potentially a lot of heaviness here, masculine, as not only do you recognize now what needed to change, but you're looking back on how it may have affected things prior to this moment. While for the masculine energy right now that is trying to move back into connection with a divine feminine energy that you desire divine union with, this is that moment that feels so heavy, because this is not a happy reunion. You get it. This is not going to be a reunion where you see one another or you talk to each other and it's like confetti and rainbows and it's so great to hear you. This is one of those things that you're going to have to carry. And it's going to feel like awful. It's going to feel like a gut punch. It's going to feel like a gut punch for you to reach out. It's going to feel like a gut punch to hear back from them. You're almost preparing for the blow, if you will, because you know that where you left something was pretty awful, was pretty bad. Maybe not even going to allow for a space or place to heal something, but now you want to address it. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Five of Cups in combination with our Knight of Swords in its reversal. Clarification coming through right now with the World in its reversal. What's going on here? Masculine and feminine energy in partnership at this time. What we're effectively identifying is this is that moment that, again, there's some point right now that we're seeing, even in partnership, there's some wackiness. We are identifying that. There's been some like wackiness. There's been some stuff that feels like it's getting turned on its head. You know, it's not that, I mean, this is more of that energy that we saw last week coming back into play. There are some things that are outside the partnership's control, is what we're really seeing. Everything around the partnership that the partnership touches, like partnerships just like working on coming into that state or focusing on the point of easement. But there's also the problem with the partnered energies right now. Are there just some things that feel like they're out of the control of the partnership itself? Masculine particularly feels like there's something that is kind of like out of their hands to a certain extent. It's more about how to navigate those things, those areas and situations that you feel like there isn't something that you can actually impact with the partnership itself. May need to be addressed today. May need to have some grief carried with it, you know? While for the masculine and the feminine energy right now that is working towards partnership, this is effectively that moment or that space or that opportunity that we're effectively seeing that, again, is about trying to navigate where you find something in the moment versus where you aspire it to be. For masculine and feminine right now, feminine's feeling that sense of chaos right now. Seeing masculine not take immediate action in the way that feminine's asking them to makes the feminine feel disoriented. It makes them feel uncertain. It builds their own anxiety here. Masculine, you're potentially feeling like this to a certain extent because, like, again, you are also worried that something that the feminine is asking you to do is going to cause some level or degree of confusion or conflict or chaos. Both energies here is like kind of a bit of commiserating that's coming in. You know, trying to find that easement point that's going to make things easier going forward instead of more confusing. While for masculine and feminine energy in separation right now, this is that moment that, again, for feminine, if you're in separation, you're going through one or two different modalities at this time. This is the feminine that is, again, the thing about this feminine energy that's moving forward is, again, still more of what we saw yesterday. This is a feminine energy that does not wish to move forward. This is a feminine energy that's still holding a lot of grief for masculine that's not coming towards them in a point of separation. There's a lot of grief that feminine's also carrying. For feminine, this is all about finding balance as they carry that grief. For the other part of the feminine collective right now, this is the feminine energy effectively moving forward, trying not to carry that grief, but also, again, potentially leaving room for this masculine energy to come back in, but also recognizing that they're about to this could backfire. This could backfire on the feminine, feeling potentially even the anxiety of doing this right now, because the feminine energy realizes, again, can she navigate a space or place of having this energy in their life without the expectation and the anticipation of an actual long-term divine union? Or is it just going to create more confusion? Is it just going to create more chaos? That's what feminine's balancing right now if they're making that choice. While for masculine in separation right now, what we're effectively seeing is this is a moment that, again, both sides, if the masculine energy is trying to move forward right now, are not from a point of autonomy, but now recognizing they need to articulate very specifically on what they're seeking. There is this moment that you're potentially feeling like things are effectively in flux and chaos. Some of this could potentially now be because you realize that something that could have offered this to you, you left in the past. You see it now. Hindsight is 2020. Observing the fact that your hindsight is 2020 on this now may be feeling somewhat overwhelming, and you may be feeling really frustrated, and you may be feeling almost like thrown off your axis, because it's almost like this light bulb moment of being like, this is what this person was asking me for from the start, and now you've finally gotten it and realize it, and now it's something that's not there. While for the masculine energy right now, and this is that alignment we're seeing coming back for this energy, coming back together. For the masculine energy right now that's trying to move back into union with the feminine energy, this is that moment that you're going through that point of vacillation, because either, again, if you're trying to come back in contact with them just to repair and heal things, or if you're trying to come back in contact with them to rebuild the connection, you see how this could go sideways. You see the fact that you're feeling a lot of anxiety in doing so, because there's a lot of grief that you need to express, and you're very worried that this might not be taken the right way, that this may be taken as you kind of trying to come towards them to introduce chaos instead of healing. And for the masculine feeling like this right now, this is a bit of that stuckness we're seeing, because you're effectively feeling kind of limited in what you can do at this time, because you're really saying how am I going to come towards this energy without them feeling like I'm trying to come in and creating a sense of chaos? It's making you feel chaotic even as you consider it. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Knight of Swords in combination with our Page of Cups in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? It fell on the floor and it's transverse. Oh my gosh. Heavy energy here for masculine right now in all aspects. Masculine energy in partnership, this isn't going to be as bad. There's something you're feeling ambivalent about today, masculine. This is more going to be ambivalence today in partnership. You're kind of even keeling it right now today, masculine. This could be with the fact that there's, again, something you're feeling a little listless with. You're not necessarily sure what direction to go in. You may even have a little extra time today, masculine, that you're not sure what to do with. And it's funny because this is really listless. This is almost supine energy for masculine, because you're feeling emotionally ambivalent. You're not really feeling like doing anything or going anywhere. You don't really feel like you have a lot of motivation right now. This is going to be a real kind of low vibe energy day. Feminine in partnership right now, you could be seeing this with the masculine. You can almost be like, what's going on with you today? The masculine is just kind of in this state of you know? Just kind of like, it's giving me a lot of puttering in partnership. Masculine and feminine that are moving into partnership right now. This is a lot of concentration on the masculine energy. But I need to point out, this is where these energies are starting to mirror them. Feminine is asking masculine to take some steps on the part of feminine. Masculine's feeling a little emotionally uncertain on terms of doing that. It's potentially, trying to explain to the feminine their ambivalence. Not even ambivalence, their caution in doing what feminine's asking them to. Almost saying like, I don't care about those things. I don't need to take action on them because I don't care. And taking action would almost like show that I care. It's almost like a masculine I'm seeing trying to say to a feminine, like, to take action on the way you're asking me to take action would be to add a level of care to something that does not feel like it even makes sense, Well, for the other part, but the problem for the feminine right now is masculine is now calling you on it. And they're saying, okay, fine, if I'm going to do that, you need to do that too. I warned you this would happen, feminine. I warned you. If you went into this, if you're trying to go into partnership and you're asking the masculine to do things, this is masculine now saying, well, are you going to do the same too? So, for masculine and feminine and in separation right now, feminine in separation right now, what we're effectively seeing that's happening at this moment is, again, this is feminine energy. And this is interesting. This is just the fact that, like, for feminine energy in separation right now, if they're trying to like move away right now from a masculine that wasn't showing that level of degree or desire to have connection or partnership, this is just feeling frustration towards masculine in general today. This is almost being in a space or place of feminine being like, I'm going to go forward, but honestly, like right now, I don't want anything to do with masculine energy. This is almost like a feminine that's concentrating again on their immediate social circle, on what they're building for themselves, putting all their energy and effort there. Because there's a point, the feminine's like at the point that's just like, I'm not saying I'm done with masculine energy, but boy, I can't even deal with it right now. Right? Can't even deal with it because there's almost a feeling of a repeating pattern here. Because this is feminine energy just kind of being kind of sick of it. The other part of the feminine collective right now, this is potentially moving back towards this energy. But in a way, like I said, different energy, different vibration, coming towards this energy and being like, I'm not coming towards you for emotionality. I don't need you to be emotionally balanced. I don't need you to be anything except for whatever this is. Because this is the feminine energy that's now looking at some connection in this way that's not offering the possibility of divine partnership or union in this aspect of trying to like compartmentalize it in a specific vibration. Now, for masculine right now that is going through this moment, what we're seeing if they're in separation is, again, for the masculine energy in separation right now, this is also going to feel like a bit of listlessness today. There may even be, I need to point out, for masculine energy in separation right now, there may be some circumstances happening right now with some of the masculine energy around you that also like is a point of distraction that needs to be addressed right now, because this is a lot of masculine energy here. For masculine energy and separation, again, this is either the modality where you are trying to go forward, taking a different approach, and you're not necessarily ready to do it yet. You kind of got the plan in place, like you're starting to build that foundation for yourself, but you're still feeling like you're trying to get your own confidence up in this. You may even be turning to like other masculine energy to try to get advice on this, is what I'm really seeing. Or there may be some circumstances or situations that need to be addressed right now as it relates to friends. Going through something as well is what we're seeing here. Because there's a lot of this masculine energy coming to the aid of each other here. Well, for masculine energy right now, that is trying to move back towards partnership with a manifestation of feminine. And we're seeing here that the masculine, this is where this is coming back together right now. This is that moment that we're effectively identifying that feels like you don't know what to say. You feel like you're blocking yourself. There's even potentially a worry or fear about how you're going to say it, that you're worried about your own ability to manage and navigate your own emotions. Because here we just see that there's a moment where it's like a lot of anxiety, wanting to articulate to someone that you are now ready to be serious, But again, the level and amount of emotional vulnerability required feels like a personal hurdle that you're hitting within the self. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Five of Swords in combination with our World and its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Oh my God, we've got 3 5 cards out, guys. 3 5 cards. So again, a lot of like some hairy, conflicty energy here that needs to be addressed for all energies, even in partnership at this time. For partnered energies at this moment, this has to do with some outside situations or circumstances, potentially some things from the past that are causing some level or degree of frustration at this time. And they need to be tackled. There could even be an argument potentially unfolding right now as it relates to in the partnership on how to address them and how to tackle them, right? There's some kind of point of observation here and something that like needs that point of easement. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into partnership, and this could be a titchy area today, even for the feminine energy and masculine in partnership. And it could even be harder because I'm almost seeing here that there may be something that's arising around this where masculine doesn't want to take the activity, the action that feminine desires them to take, that even in partnership at this moment could be creating a little bit of a conflict space, because we see here that there's a lot of this like supine energy with the masculine right now. For masculine and feminine moving into partnership, this is the conflict point. How to address the open-ended situations from the past that feel like they're creating disorientation in the present. There's conflict right now as it relates to how to handle that. In separation, this is the feminine energy right now. Having to still address open-ended situations from the past that are creating a sense of conflict. And the conflict has to do with the fact of the feminine. Again, either now it's a point of what to do. Does the feminine energy choose to like move forward from this point, staying very firmly focused only on the goal and aspiration of divine union and relinquishing the energy that's caused this sense of disorder from the past? Or is the feminine energy going to allow this energy to stay in their energetic field, even to the point that it may create conflict, due to the fact that they're going to effectively put them in a space or place where they recognize that like what they can get or what they're going to get from them is only in that modality. It's not leading to their long-term manifestation goal. While for masculine right now, that is in separation, this is again a lot of this internal conflict that we're effectively seeing that's emerging for you right now, depending on what modality that you're in. If this is masculine energy right now that is focusing on being very articulate as it relates to what you are trying to build, as it relates to divine union at this time, it's still creating a point of conflict. One of your points of conflict is potentially whether you're going to go back to some past experience that you're now recognizing and realizing this was accessible and available to you with. But again, this is where these are merging. But we're wondering if that's going to create some sense or space of conflict, bringing in chaos. So again, for masculine, this is that question of, again, looking backwards or looking forwards. Because there's something here now that masculine understands that they didn't understand from the past that they now want to address. And it's creating a sense of like deep internal conflict as it relates to how to address it. Because now it feels like you need to address it because now at least you observe it. While now we've got this perfect merging of these two lines coming back together because this is masculine. If you are trying to come back into partnership with feminine, same thing. So the autonomy energy and the partner, the energy desiring to come into partnership, just kind of folded up into themselves. There's a point of something from the past that you're now feeling a lot of conflict on because you're seeing it in a different way. And now you're recognizing it. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Between our World and its reversal in combination with our King of Cups in its transverse. Eight of Wands in its reversal. Different depending on where we are. For partnered energies right now, this is just giving me a lot of energy again There's some points of like outside situations and circumstances that feel like they're beyond your control, and it's creating a point of frustration. This is communication blockages, communication hurdles. This is more of the same energy that we saw last week coming into play right now for masculine particularly. This feeling of frustration and disempowerment when things are not moving on the timeline that you would aspire or desire them to. This is a masculine, like almost potentially reaching a point of exhaustion on waiting on these things right now, right? Even in partnership, feminine, you could be seeing this. You could even be seeing that the problem for the feminine right now is masculine is like at a moment today, or a degree of like listlessness, where it's like they're not really available for like heavy communication or planning right now. They're trying to deal with their own circumstances and situations that are creating some like sense of like confusion for them at this time. You're effectively seeing this if you're in partnership at this point, and you're just trying to support the masculine as much as possible in this vibration. While for feminine and masculine trying to come into partnership at this time, this is the hurdle. Feminine's potentially even asking masculine to cut communication with some energy right now, to come into union. Masculine might be asking the same from feminine right now. There's this moment right now, this feeling like there's something about like this sense of like overriding confusion that's coming to some circumstances and situations right now. Masculine is not as eager or willing to step forward to do so. And that's what's creating a bit of the problem. Feminine may also be like having to have some points of like articulating where some of the masculine energy around them is and what part in their life that they occupy. So again, this is some of the immediate present circumstances causing blockages as it relates to the long-term path and the long-term goal that need to be addressed. While for masculine and feminine that are in separation right now, for feminine energy, this is that balance line in terms of how the feminine's going forward from this point, because the feminine energy in separation is going forward in one of two different modalities at this time. This is the feminine energy that is effectively affirmed and confirmed to themselves that under no situation do they want to introduce a masculine energy that they can't have a divine union with. Feminine wants that emotional connection. They don't want a connection that's just based on the physical. In that case, feminine energy is saying like, I want a balanced emotional masculine energy that also desires divine union at this time. Feminine energy is having that difficulty because they're effectively feeling like they need to block off an energy that they're hoping will change their mind, but staying firm in terms of what it is that they're truly seeking. For the other part of the feminine collective right now, this is potentially you making a point of compromise for yourself. But like the point of compromise is one that you're going into with open eyes. You're not going towards this energy with the assumption that you're going to be able to change this energy's mind. This is kind of just coming into the fact that you're accepting the fact that moving towards this energy would be effectively accepting someone who you feel isn't emotionally invested in you. And that's that moment that's feeling like a struggle point, because you're considering if that's something that you would desire to do as you continue forward, or if it would continue to block you from being able to find your long-term manifestation goal of divine union. There's a point of conflict here for the feminine that's considering that clearly. While for masculine in separation right now, this is again a moment that you are feeling somewhat trapped or stuck, especially as it relates to your own emotional balance at this time, because what we're effectively seeing in this moment is again a masculine energy at this time that is either chose their own autonomy, but now you've realized that it's not autonomy that you're seeking, it's something very specific. And now you're feeling kind of frustrated because there may even be a point right now that you're looking back and you're recognizing that you had that at some point and you didn't recognize it. And this is now experiencing some kind of hurdle or blockage right now, because you're feeling like whatever you want to communicate on that could have offered that to you is not necessarily available. The timelines are coming, the paths are coming back together here. Or this is a masculine energy that was trying to move towards a manifestation of feminine that they've decided that they want to come into divine union with. But again, looking at something, realizing that masculine needs to be the person to open the channel of communication. Wondering if it's going to be received well, wondering if it's going to be received at all, and feeling the conflict and the fear about this effectively, creating more chaos in the wake of it, but also feeling the chaos of not communicating is overpowering your own ability not to do so. Final cards for today's spread between, our 5 of Wands in combination with our 8 of Wands in its reversal. So we started the day so well. There are some moments right now that are kind of reaching ahead as it relates to some points of conflict. But the conflict is coming from a lack of communication. This is like silent battle kind of energy. This is feeling the frustration of like a hurdle or blockage being the issue. That being what you need to overcome right now. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification, calling for temperance. Patience. Patience is the name of the game here. Being able to maintain a level or degree of patience is key right now for all energies. Masculine and feminine. This is a patience that you're applying to circumstances and situations at this time. In partnership, being patient with each other, recognizing your own personal hurdles. If moving into partnership at this time, masculine and feminine, this is trying to be patient through some of these challenges from these circumstances. There could even be a moment right now that is trying to beg or trying to tell the other person to just let time be the closure point on some of these. While for masculine and feminine energy in separation at this time, what we're effectively seeing and recognizing is a moment where, again, feminine, you may be feeling, again, if you're coming into separation right now or you're in separation, this is that moment that you're feeling the conflict from the lack of communication that you're receiving, and you're just telling yourself that time is going to heal this wound. Or this is a feminine energy that's trying to come into a space or place where they'll be comfortable again reaching out to this masculine, but also recognizing what they can expect in that energy and allowing time to also be the healing of that wound. While for masculine right now that is in separation, this is potentially feeling like there's something here that time is not solving it, so now it is time, is what we're really seeing. For half of the collective right now, that's through this right now, there is a moment that you're potentially feeling, if you're in the masculine collective, where you're feeling right now this conflict point around something that you want to communicate on, and you're feeling the difficulty and hurdle in communicating on it. You're questioning whether you should. You're trying to be patient with yourself, but you're also recognizing something that you've realized is that time is not fixing this. This isn't something that's getting fixed in time. It's just something that is continuing in the same position with time. That is the hurdle for the masculine right now. It's a point of observation that's saying that the conflict isn't easing with time. It's just perpetuating. It's going to require some point of action. That is our daily collective read for today. Bottom of the deck on this reading is, what did I say? Ace of Pentacles. For masculine energy and separation, this is that point. You're recognizing that time isn't going to fix something. It's going to require something invested in something to fix something. What that is the big issue right now for the masculine in separation. For feminine, this is feminine having overgiven in the past and not wanting to overgive in situations and circumstances that do not give back in kind. This is more of that confirmation of the feminine, that feminine wants to give forward in something now. It's not for a lack of it, but this is more of that Venus in retrograde lesson still coming to the fold. A firm desire not to give to things that do not give back in kind. While for the masculine and feminine moving into partnership right now, this is seeing the reciprocity of what you're getting and what you're giving back in kind. Wanting to make sure that something feels fair and balanced as you move into divine partnership. And for masculine and feminine in partnership right now, this is feeling like you don't have enough time. This is feeling like you're pouring everything all around you, and it's not necessarily like, you're almost feeling like you have to pay it forward right now to get back what you're trying to at this time. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it with me. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber ID at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, booking a reading with me is a two-step process. You have to book the reading and you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you would like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never inbox you. I will never slide into your PMs and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. I want to thank you so much for being here with me and sharing with me in these messages. And we will do this again tomorrow. Guys,